eventually I feel like, if you're not really focusing in on productizing what you're doing and then figuring out how you can either replicate that for the client and then sell it for really, really high ticket, or create a product or create some kind of a licensing model of a process or system, I think unfortunately you might fall to the wayside.
Work is changing, quickly, irreversibly, and often invisibly. I'm Chris Fanchi, and this show is about understanding where it's headed and how we stay human in the process. Hello and welcome to Human Work After AI, the show where we explore the future of work, technology, and what it means to stay human in the age of AI. We're speaking with founders, technologists, and thinkers who are navigating the shift toward an AI-powered economy. Today's guest is Andrew Hewitt, founder and CEO of YohDev, a full-stack engineering firm helping businesses bridge the gap between technology and business strategy. With a background in sales, customer acquisition, and software development, Andrew leads teams that build scalable websites, integrate CRMs, and deliver AI-powered solutions for growth-oriented companies. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me.
So I always like to start out with my guest's background or origin story, if you will. What first got you into technology and started your journey that led to founding YohDev?
Woo, yeah, it's a long kind of exciting story. I'll try to give you the accelerated version. Really, it wasn't technology that drove me to this business. It's the entrepreneurial bug that I caught when I was at my previous role. So I was a district sales manager for a very fast growing cement company. I moved to North Carolina from New Jersey to take up that promotion in that company, and they were offering ESOP, so employee stock ownership plans. I just saw what the value of that was growing. I'm like, wow, this is what it feels like to own a business. And I really wanted to get into the marketing department with that company. And so I kind of just podcasted and self-taught and just trained my way into like thinking, I'm going to go and do this for this company. And they blockaded me with a bunch of barriers of, education, experience, and they needed me in the sales because my region was the fastest growing at the time. So they had a pathway for me to just keep moving up the sales ladder. I didn't want that. I didn't want to keep traveling. I had my girlfriend is my wife now. I wanted to have a family and, have like a nice work-life balance, and do something that I'm really passionate about. So in 2017, I went out on my own and started doing freelance web dev marketing services here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Found out really quick there was a lot of marketing consultants, a lot of people doing what I was doing. What I did was I ended up just focusing on dev. And that actually took that was a 2-year battle of up and down and failed partnerships and like losing money and all this stuff. And then finally I said, okay, no more partnerships. 2019, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do development. And all these marketing agencies and consultants that were competitors, they need developers because I know it because I needed it when I was doing it. So I partnered with them and I became partners now instead of competitors. And then that was where my first client started flowing through. Then I just kept diving into the rabbit hole of tech. WordPress sites led to React applications because of the Gutenberg block editor and like different things in the WordPress realm that was going JavaScript based. And then I started getting a little bored with the website stuff. So I built the team to kind of serve that stuff. And then I took on higher level contracts in parallel with my business. So I started doing like full stack engineering contracts with brands like State Farm or really high end agencies that work with enterprise brands, building up that experience while running my business on this, like in parallel. And then in 2022, I had my daughter, and there is something about having kids that just kind of accelerates things.
Hmm.
I got a business coach. I tightened up my business. I went all in on my business, no more side contracts and distractions. And then 2022, that's when we really started taking off, started putting in scalable systems. And now we have a core set of clients that we work like with high level strategy stuff in the marketing and ops arena, with tech, AI implementation, websites still all in that area. And then we have a whole division that's just website lift and shifts, and we're using all different types of tools to deliver those, and it's really fun. It's a fun business. It's been, yeah, it's been really exciting to do. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
It's been an 8.5 year grind total.
No, that's a really cool story, and it's interesting. I feel like the majority of the guests I've had on this show and my other show, Pitch Build Scale, have been kind of the opposite. They were maybe there was an interest in entrepreneurship, but it was the technology that drew them in, and they were developers from a young age. They had their first computer when they were 8 and started making their first programs. You're kind of a different path, so what was that transition like into technology coming from a background without having been specialized in it or trained in it?
It was really natural. It felt natural. It was weird. So I am very creative. So I was in jazz band, and I played in metal bands, really technical time signature stuff. That's like, you kind of have to engineer the songs in a way.
Mm,
So like I think my creativity, my sales, and just my ability to just self learn and just be obsessed with learning, I was able to hop into technology without any issues, because that's what it really is. Like, if you understand the concepts, the best practices, and you have a willingness to learn and just keep thriving in that type of environment, and not being comfortable and constantly pivoting, trying different things and pushing the barrier. Like, I thrive in those environments. And that's why I think like the transition for me was fairly easy. I'm really good at networking in every single area. Like I have a really tight network of developers and engineers that I look up to, that have looked up to me, and we all kind of are a collective that help each other learn and grow. So that really helped as well. Especially like when I started taking on those higher level contracts, and I started getting mentors, like, full stack senior engineers, or like DevOps consultants that were like putting the infrastructure in place, and I'm doing the front end, like, and being able to just work under the guys like that and girls like that. It's just been like, that's the best part. Like, that's how think like having all those components together was just like the perfect recipe, I think, to just move in without any issues.
so talk a little bit more about the kind of companies that your business serves now, and how did
Yeah.
you choose that type of client?
Yeah, so for clients, a lot of people go industry based, right? It's like manufacturing or healthcare or fintech. Me, I started from scratch, and I just took every single client I could get. And we're still kind of doing that. Like, we're just taking, but the companies are getting bigger. So it's not really industry or sector, but it's stage of business growth that we're shooting for. So for instance, we'll go for clients that are anywhere between 1 million and 5 million, and they're seeking private equity.
Mm,
And they have a marketing and ops team. Maybe they're stretched thin, they're working with a lot of vendors, and like they're using tools, and they're starting to use AI that's replacing some of their vendors, but they're still not sure. And so we're right in that arena, because what we find is once they go under private equity, if we can embed ourselves in the organization and like really have that trust and be that leader, um yeah, I mean, we're along, that we go for along for the ride. We just keep on the opportunities. The bigger our clients are getting, the bigger opportunities that their new network is now referring to us. So we kind of grow alongside of our clients. So we have clients that are in service-based industries, oil, there's like generator installers that we're working with. There's science and tech companies. Lots of clients that are companies that are either a parent holding company, or they're a child of a parent. And then it all just ends up being like, we end up kind of working with the whole portfolio of companies.
mm.
And that's sort of where we're at. So all industries, we're looking for size, and I'm looking for an agile, fast moving marketing or ops team that like sees the value in a tech partner. So like that's sort of where we're shooting for.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you typically work on a project by project basis, or do you try to get more ingrained and have that ongoing relationship and maintainable contracts, things like that?
Yep. We have our ongoing maintainable contracts where we're embedded into their organization, and we start to even develop processes like custom for them that for delivering their different projects or their deployments or whatever it might be. Good chunk of our business, but we do have my sales funnel is pretty strong. And we have qualified appointments at least one or two a week with qualified prospects. And our new business, I'd say right now, like top line revenue per month, half new, half retained. And it's been about that for a while. So it's getting predictable. So I'm comfortable saying that half
Mm.
our business is new business, half is retainer business. And that retainer business slowly grows over time because the new business, I think it's like 10% of them convert into some form of a retainer.
Okay. So, how do you balance custom development projects with packaged or repeatable service offerings?
That's a very good question. It's all about understanding your team's capacity and then placing the right team members with the right types of projects. So if you have projects that are rinse and repeat, and you have maybe team members that are really good at that, like I have a few team members, they work at night and they're just really good at just the rinse and repeat tasks, maintenance tasks, little fixes, things that are coming through. So I have a dedicated team that just works on the ongoing retainer stuff. And then they have X amount of clients that they can handle. And then we have a good intake flow for tasks. And then we plan out sprints and stuff for that team. And then we bill for the new business, and one-off projects from our clients, because our clients, the retainer clients, will throw big projects on top occasionally too, which is nice.
Mm.
Then from that, then we estimate it out, scope it out, and then we pick the team that's going to lead that project. And then if that project ends up needing ongoing maintenance or adding on to a retainer, then we would prepare that project for ongoing, and then we'd find a developer on our ongoing team that would just maintain it or just, make sure it's going good.
Gotcha. Okay. So, let's transition now a little bit into the AI conversation. And let's start with internally. So, obviously, you've got all these different projects and tasks, things that you're dealing with. How is your team internally utilizing AI to try to smooth that over, speed up, find efficiencies in the process?
Yeah. We're using it every day. Right now we're in I'd say an exploratory phase, but some things are getting locked into process right now. I let my team sort of do what they need to do with the AI, because I need to do things with it too, because it's just like, wow, it's so cool. So I got to explore, and I'm not going to put anybody in a box right now. But I would
Mm.
say the things that are really tracking that I think is going to be something that everybody should keep an eye on and probably think about is the AI, the coding agents, has been the biggest thing.
Mhm.
V0.dev, Q, Gemini CLI, and using their agent, ChatGPT's Codex, Claude, figuring out what that new workflow is going to look like.
Mhm.
Because to just give you an example, I just worked on some work, because I still get into the weeds sometimes with some of the projects that I'm interested in. And what I'll do is you connect your Git repo to the agent, and then you tell the agent, hey, plan out the work that needs to be done here, and then it just lists out tasks. And then you just the things I don't want to work on, like it might be like some bug, like minor bug fixes or some UI polishing or whatever. I'll just go start those tasks, and it goes and it just does those tasks in the background. And then I can work on a feature that needs my attention. And then we use, like the coding tools like Copilot in VS Code and things like that. So it's just it's
Mm.
just so embedded right now. It's pretty wild, but that's how we're using it. We're using it with coding agents that'll open PRs, and then we review it. Uh, and it's really cool. It's really cool how we can do that. And I think, and now we're looking at how we can orchestrate agents to do certain things for us.
Mm.
Mainly around the routine stuff for projects that just take up a lot of times, but
Mhm.
we're working towards that, like setting up some form of have you heard of MC server?
Mhm.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
like an MCP server that connects to all of our backend systems, and like we can just deploy agents to go do things at certain trigger points, like in like deal life cycles of like our clients and things like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm in it every day thinking about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I feel like about 5 months ago when I started the podcasting, um, a lot of the guests were kind of hesitant to say that they utilize these coding agents or coding tools to actually write code that goes into production. I feel like that has changed even in the last few months to where people are more confident saying, "Yeah, we build things that we put out there with AI." Do you, when how long have you been utilizing the AI coding tools, and at what point did you start to feel like this is something that we can put out in public or put in front of our clients?
So I've been using the coding tools specifically for a little over a year. ChatGPT since it came out, and my funny thing, my little brother has always sort of been like my research person that I just throw stuff on. So I would just drip him like some agents that I'd come in my feed or whatever, and like I just kind of throw it over to him, and then he'll just geek out on it and just boom. Here's I just deployed a mobile app. Go, download the Expo app and just like scan it. And I'm like, oh wow, what the heck? And then I think I sent one of them that was like rapidly producing Next.js UIs that were like ready for like a full stack engineer to just come in and like hook up the database and just like be done with it. And I saw him doing that and I was like, okay, that's the one. So I picked that one up and now we're using, it's called v0.dev. It's with
Mhm.
Versal. It's Versal's agent. And
Yeah.
that thing, I don't know, it speeds up prototyping so quickly that like clients can just give feedback like really fast. And then we have like a little, I'm not going to get into the process. We have like a really nice way of converting that into a WordPress theme. So like it really sped that part of our business up
Mm.
tremendously.
No, it's interesting. So you are still working with WordPress at
We
this
are.
point.
Yeah, that we are working with WordPress because 85 to 90% of the clients that are we work with that buy other companies that then have to fit their websites to things, they're all WordPress.
Mm.
Way more cost effective to try and keep their current setup as close as possible, and like they're all they're all WordPress, so why not we just align it with WordPress? So yeah, WordPress is I think it's still WordPress is still everybody there can be haters out there, but the React blocks and the Gutenberg editor, and then the headless WordPress stuff that's been like really getting like refined, and I think it's really good. I think it's like that's valuable. Like there's 90% of the
Mm.
websites out there are like using WordPress or whatever. At least it was. It might be lower now, but if you can convert, like keep all their content and then put a slick front end on it, and then lock down the CMS and it's just pulling it and like using like GraphQL to like statically build out the site or something. It's valuable because those big companies don't have to worry about rolling out a whole new CMS and building it
Mhm.
custom and all that stuff like per instance like that. It's just be way it's not cost effective.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see if that continues to be the case. If and I haven't played around with WordPress myself in a little while, so I don't know what kind of AI tooling they're implementing for themselves. I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll keep
I'm
working on
sure it
that
will
too.
too. Yeah, nothing yet from the AI part on WordPress.
Interesting.
The fact that everything the editor's now all in React and there's a nice build process there and everything, it's making it a lot easier to work on WordPress stuff. It's not as painful.
Mm, yeah, very interesting, and that's a difficult challenge for those kind of low code or no code type development environments like the WordPresses and Webflows and things like that that are trying to keep up, and this coding thing is just taken over with the AI.
But yeah.
So I'm very curious. You've been at this for 6-8 years. Said, are your clients asking for AI powered solutions now? And was there a shift that happened at some point where AI went from being a novelty to being something that they started demanding?
I would say it actually happened recently, probably within the last 6 months, clients started asking about AI. I think probably the most obvious one on a front facing type, like, we deal with marketing directors and VPs and stuff a lot. So like it's the chatbot that can, answer all the questions and not bog down our customer service staff. Like, that's like the
Hmm.
thing. There's, and then there's some clients that are trying to, AI their way out of having to pay an SEO company $10,000 a month. Those, and then like, we
Mm.
end up being a vendor that sort of helps create, it's a little, I mean, I don't know. SEO companies like had their time. I'll say that there's value in that, and there's value in SEO experts. But I really believe that companies that are scaling should probably have somebody on staff that understands all the search channels, including organic. And then have them be really good at AI, because the AI tools that can do SEO work now is it's phenomenal, and there's no need to go pay an agency like 10 or 20K a month to do this stuff anymore. So like those types of scenarios pop up where like we need to kind of craft ways to create an AI solution that, saves 20 hours a week of work or something. So like, we're those types of things are starting to pop up now, but it was always chatbots and knowledge base kind of query and answer type things. That was the first, you know, wave of requests.
But now they're asking for internal tools, things that they
Yeah,
can use to make their workflows more effective.
exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah, very, very interesting. So, how has AI impacted your, let's say, your workforce, your headcount, your need to add or reduce number of workers depending on the project flow?
That's a good question. It's interesting. So when we really started seeing the benefits of the using AI day to day, we were ramping up really fast, and
Mm.
our contractor budget was sitting at a pretty high number monthly, and it was just sitting there, and then it was starting to go up more as we were ramping up. But as we were rolling out the AI stuff, the contractor budget started coming down, and then it like flatlined at like a certain area. And it's been that way for the past 3 months, and we're doing the same volume of work. So I would say
Mm.
that same volume, and to give you an idea, like from a percentage point, it's like 40% lower than it was 3 months ago. And we're doing the
Mm.
same volume of work. So there's a problem to solve there though, because we have an extended team that's 1099 and they track hours.
Mm.
So I have a feeling that if this trend stays the same, and the team is like that team that gets paid by the hour is like they're putting in the time and like, yeah, well, I'm using AI and I'm able to do way more type of thing. We're going to have to figure out a way to compensate those 1099 contractors that help out on our projects and stuff in a more fixed manner, probably.
Mm.
Probably like where it's based on some kind of like we can pay them a percentage based on the total contract value or something. It's got to move away from hour to hour rate, because like I said, like right now it's benefiting us, but eventually it's going to be a problem, because eventually no one's going to like, I'm not going to be able to keep the talent on, because like, hey, yeah, we were promising 15 to 20 hours and now we rolled out all these efficiencies, and like now you're only able to put in 8 hours. Like that's a big pay cut, even though way more
You're
value.
getting the same amount of work done,
Yeah.
right?
Actually, more work's being delivered, so more value, but you're
Yeah.
getting paid less. So, like, we gotta solve that problem before it becomes a major issue, because I don't want my talent pool to dry up because there's not enough work to go around, or it could end up being I hired two full stack studs that can work with AI, just knock it all out of the park, and but that's a big challenge that we're facing actually right now.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's an interesting conundrum for employers and the workforce in general. Is, you know, people talk about how much more efficient AI is going to make everyone, but there's also expectations that come along with that, and so you, as an employee, you're expected to basically 10x or 5x your output with no additional compensation because, oh, the AI is doing all this extra work for you. Well, it's still a significant burden being put on the human employee, right?
Yep, for sure.
It's an interesting circumstance that we're finding ourselves moving into. So, in your space, what human skills do you find are most important, even as automation gets smarter?
soft skills like just caring about the other person's day or how they're doing or that's one of the big things like, like I really like to build true relationships with our clients and partners. So, always kind of, just understand where the other person's coming from and have those soft skills. But then also, I really think that in it with AI rising to the surface, having that human connection is going to be really important. Whether you're a service-based model or you're a SaaS company or whatever, I think having that human touch point and having it like, because we're in a society, it's 8 seconds, like attention span, everything needs to be now, now, now. Like
Mhm.
if you can have prompt caring customer service that really cares about serving the customer. And whether you're at high enterprise level where you're meeting daily stand-ups or biweekly sprint reviews or whatever it might be, like just have that connection and be able to lead the client's project or whatever you're serving in a really good way that they can just kind of like trust you, follow you. The ones that just kinda send the report, the maintenance report, and don't touch base or, like, or set up their slick little tool that they set up that's just gonna send reports, and there's not gonna be any kinda, account manager following up, seeing how they like the tool or, like, if you're not doing any of that kinda stuff, somebody who has a similar platform that's using some AI that is focused on that, I think is gonna win because having that connection is gonna be important. I think it'll make you stand out from the
Yeah, definitely. So, do any of your clients, because you're speaking with marketing teams, you're not necessarily talking to the CEOs, the executives at the top of the organization. So, do you ever get the sense that there's concern about a project possibly automating themselves out of a job? Like like if I implement these automations that I know we can do, it'll make things much more efficient, but then I'm going to have team members that won't basically be necessary anymore.
Yeah,
Has that ever come up?
that's a good question. Hasn't come up yet, but I can see opportunities where it would happen though. I
Mhm.
think it's a reality that that if you're on one of those teams and you're doing a lot of manual coding, I would say start learning some stuff. That's what I would be doing. I would like be, setting up my next move because it's coming and it's coming fast. And yeah, no. And I do have good relationships with some of the CEOs and the ones that I've talked to, they're not thinking about cutting staff because they're in that high growth mindset right now. So like
Mhm.
they're seeing their staff using AI and they're getting 100x more done. So they're actually hiring more people. But that's just my own little bubble, I guess, environment of avatars, prospects, whatever you want to call it, clients that I've created. So like, they're constantly growing. But I could see a big company like, outside of that high growth stage, looking to cut costs, that would be the areas where I could see that happening a lot. And we have a
Yeah.
few clients like that, but none of those opportunities or those the conversations have popped up yet.
Yeah, and it could be that we haven't quite reached that tipping point yet. I think there's still we're still it seems like AI has been around for a long time, but it's only been 3 years, right, since ChatGPT really broke through. So it seems like things are moving really fast, but we are still very much in the early adopters phase of things.
Sure.
So if you were to think ahead 5 to 10 years, what role will firms like yours play in shaping how companies approach digital transformation or AI adoption?
That's a good question. So if I'm being honest, I'm looking 3 years out and companies like ours believe we need to. So I'll give a really good example. I feel like eventually, if you're doing this service based thing long enough, you should have enough processes and enough know how to create a product or a productized service enough to where AI could really amplify it and allow you to scale it. So I would say that in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm hoping that we're so good at delivering the services that we can deliver or that we're delivering that we have it so buttoned up that AI agents can go out and do the majority, like 80% of all the heavy lifting for all of our projects at scale. And then we have a slick process to then, basically just be like, okay, you want this? Do you want this for your company? Do you want, so like like what we specialize in is like we just keep getting better and better and better. Like, so we get better with the client that we're working with. We get better with what the things that we build for YohDev. So like eventually I feel like, if you're not really focusing in on productizing what you're doing and then figuring out how you can either replicate that for the client and then sell it for really, really high ticket, or create a product or create some kind of a licensing model of a process or system, I think unfortunately you might fall to the wayside.
Mm.
Because like if you're just offering the manual services and things like that, and you're not thinking about productizing and having that AI edge, I could see that type of model like falling off fairly quickly. It's already falling off. Like a lot of our biggest clients are
Mm.
vendors that do service-based business in replace of AI tools.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. So I'll let you out of here on this. So what are you concerned or worried about as we're entering this AI era, and what has you most optimistic about the future that we're entering?
I would say optimistic first. It is empowering those who are truly passionate and like really into what they're doing. Like it's empowering those individuals to do way more work and way better work and can serve way more people. And I think that there's credit there. And I think there's like really something good to look there. I look at that there, like, but when you look at what I'm most concerned about, it's the people that don't have their passion. Like they're not doing their passion for a day to day, or they're not really into what they're doing, because those individuals won't take the extra time after work to learn an AI tool is going to help them do better at the job that they hate. And unfortunately, there's a lot more of those types of people than the people that are, really super passionate, super talented, top of the pool when it comes to like clients and work and reputation, all that stuff. They're going to do amazing, crazy amounts of things with AI. And then I feel like everyone else is going to kind of fall to the wayside. But I think, that's what I'm most concerned about is like mass displacement and like mental health issues that go along with that.
Mm.
Could also, on the flip side, optimistic again, like, those who end up, like, you might end up going on soul searching journeys to like figure out, and AI can help you maybe find a new passion or find, something that's going to serve you better. But those are my two things. Is like, it's awesome. Like, I'm excited. Like, I'm building so many things so quick, but then there's the other side of the equation. Everybody knows is coming and it's already happening, which is all the layoffs and the displacement of the workforce.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting time we're moving into for sure. So, Andrew, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell our listeners, where can they find you, learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, so you can go to yohdev.com. That's YohDev. So it's yo with an H. LinkedIn, you can search for us. Same, you can search on Google, will come up. And there's also I have a YouTube channel that I do also. We're YohDev. If you just search YohDev with an H, you'll find us everywhere. Go follow us. We have a newsletter and all that fun stuff.
Fantastic. And for everyone listening, thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this episode, please be sure to share, leave us a review, subscribe so that you can always see the next episode. And as always, stay human. Thank you for listening to this episode of Human Work After AI. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.